Much of Shayla's downtime is spent trying to learn something new about her surroundings. In the Nox Wyld, that includes the Fae she has sworn herself to protect, as well as the flora. She doesn't always discover their uses right away, but she does keep note of where they can be found and any immediately noticeable traits for further study when she has the opportunity, or to learn from more experienced persons of the realm. As it stands, there isn't much about the Nox Wyld she isn't already familiar with, so this past week didn't yield too many results on the topic. Her journey to greater knowledge was stagnating the longer she remained. It was time she moved on once more, traveling the vast world to discover secrets she had yet to uncover. Such was her way, and so she began the preparations to begin her nomadic ways anew. For these types of traveling, she needed her journal more than most other items. A simple quill and small bottle of ink to get her started, a piece of charcoal for rough sketches, which may or may not receive ink details later, and her daggers, to name a few of her other typical belongings. In her fur blanket and satchel, she wrapped up a spare set of clothes, wraps she could use for both modesty and injury, culinary supplies, etc. Not an all-inclusive list, but it gets the idea across. She debated for some time about her shield and sword, and in the end managed to find a way to attach her shield to her traveling ensemble, and her sword found its home on her hip. She felt like a turtle. With dragons about it, seemed prudent to add the weight. She found her daily sources of food as she traveled about, whether meat or vegetation, so felt no need to prepare any until she reached the edge of the Nox Wyld once more. By the time her preparations were completed, it was reaching noon. Shailagh took a moment to flip her journal open to a random page and made a list of her goals for the journey to ensure efficient travel. "Let's see here," she mused. "If I can find the leaders and knowledge keepers of the different faiths, it would do us well to determine how our faith interacts with theirs." She laughed to herself a bit. "Jester seemed adamant I not meet his god, though they sat merely feet from where I stood. What can frighten a jester to such a degree, I wonder? Was it truly fear I read, or something else?" She shook her head, letting the thought drop to her page, and continued to write until the page was full. She listed every deity known to her, and as many persons as possible for each, lest she runs into them. Her letters will serve her well in this particular pursuit. The dragons also made the list. Where did they nest? Are they simply beasts, or are they fey-touched creatures, as the Dragon Witch of Carnival seemed to be? Was there more to the dragon and dwarf tale than is currently available? Perhaps contacting the dwarves of Helvellyn now. And her associate, underling, companion, servant? I will need to determine a proper term for the situation. I've never kept someone's life for this long before. Regardless of title, her contact in the order. He might know more of the history going on there. Speaking of, she added, "Stalk the halls of Manatu Vendor's tomes" to her list. As the Amandalar was likely to be there, it made sense that she would deliver her knowledge to him at some point, as well as gain insight from their vast collections. Not to mention check on his state of mind. While she was elated about the possibility of speaking to Aluna directly one day, Shailagh hoped to find an alternative to Amandalar's plight. Also on her list was to learn more about Hellfire. As an established ally, she felt it necessary to begin collecting on the debt for her kin's assistance to them. Plans made, she packed away her journal and utensils. Hanging a new sign on her hut entrance, Shailagh began her months of travel to come.